Takeoff shortcuts. This video will give some examples of how to save time in some of the more commonly used takeoff parts of the program. We'll first start with wire and conduit takeoff and branch circuits. The first entry will be 500 feet and 25 runs of half-inch EMT with 3 number 12s and the fittings listed below. Takeoff makes the entry to the audit trail. Next, we're going to change the conduit size to 3/4, and instead of wire, we're going to put in a pole line. This time it'll be 500 feet, 10 runs, and hit takeoff. Now that might be a fairly common assembly for taking off conduit for low voltage, whether it's fire alarm or security or any type of a low voltage system. So we might want to save that assembly so the next time we need it, it'll be a little more accessible, a little quicker to take off. To save what's on the current screen, we go to Saved Assemblies and simply hit Save Screen and give this assembly a name. 3/4 inch EMT with pole line. Once I hit OK, it adds it to the list. I can leave it here or drag it up and put it up in the upper part of the list, and that will stay in the program. That's a permanent addition to the system. Of course, we can come back later and change it or add more items to the list or even delete it altogether. Okay, let's make another entry. Now we're going to change the conduit size to 1 inch. We're going to change the type of conduit to galvanized rigid. We're going to put in 3 number 6s. We'll make it 3 number 8s. And 1 number 10. We no longer need the pole line. We're going to enter 160 feet, 2 runs, and 2 elbows. And we'll select a different support. We're going to use the beam clamp with the conduit hanger. Now to add other items to this entry, we're going to add a couple of LBs, condulettes, and some ground bushings. We go to Other Items, Select Items, Metallic Fittings and Elbows, GRC IMC Fittings and Condulettes, and LBs. We're going to put in 2 of those. And then from the same list, we're going to pick the grounding bushings and add in 2 of those. And let's also attach a note to this entry. We're going to type in AC units 1 and 2. So we're going to hit takeoff. Make up wire. If we want 5 feet at each end, we put 10. Now for the next entry, we're going to put in 3/4 inch conduit with 4 number 10s. This entry will be 70 feet, 1 run, 1 elbow. And the shortcut here, when we go to Other Items, we can hit Recall Last, and it brings back the same fittings, although it's a different conduit size now. You can change the quantity. And we'll attach a note again. And hit takeoff. So anytime we're on Other Items, we can recall the last entry, and it'll bring in the same items and resize the conduit if necessary. So now let's say we need some more 3/4 inch EMT with a pole line. Instead of changing the drop-down selections here, we're going to go up to the Saved Assemblies, the one we just added here, and when we double-click, it resets the screen automatically. We'll put in 500 feet, 10 runs. The same would apply if I wanted half-inch EMT with 3 number 12s. Again, all the common assemblies are listed here. As you saw a minute ago, you can add to the list, you can also delete items, and you can resave them with a different configuration by hitting Update Screen. So we'll put in 500 feet again and 25 runs. Another very commonly used part of the takeoff is fixtures. So let's talk about some shortcuts there. We're going to go to Light Fixtures and give the first fixture a designation of A. So if this is a 2x4 lay-in, instead of going down the screen one light at a time, we're going to go to Saved Assemblies and pick it off the list. Here's a 2x4 lay-in with 3 lamps. So that assembly contains the fixture and the lamps, a couple of seismic wires. For the voltage here, we're going to select 120. That's not a necessary selection, it's just there for reference. And for the manufacturer, I'm looking for Prudential. Again, that's not a required field. I'm not going to bother with the catalog number, but on the notes, I'm going to put a note here that says no substitutions. When I print this report out later from my suppliers, they'll see very clearly that we don't want substitutions on this particular fixture. Let's go ahead and add a fixture whip. And we'll go ahead and put in 100 fixtures. So if the next fixture is A1, and it's nearly identical to A, instead of going to Saved Assemblies, it's going to be a quicker setup to go to the drop-down menu here and copy fixture A. And let's say the only difference in this fixture is the voltage. We're going to select 277. We're going to leave all the other part of the setup the same. And we'll say the quantity is going to be 150. And hit Takeoff. Now the other shortcut, this is actually kind of a workaround. If you run across a fixture in the Takeoff in the fixture schedule that's not in the program, and this can happen relatively often. Let's say it's a chandelier. A chandelier could be anything from a 1-hour installation to a couple of days, depending on the size. So we're going to just type in chandelier. Now, by typing in the description, rather than picking up an assembly or picking it up from the description menu, the program won't have a labor unit in the system, and it will know to prompt us to put in the labor unit. So the manufacturer here, I'm going to select Owner Furnished. Let's go ahead and put some lamps in. Inside, we're going to use miscellaneous. We'll do 40-watt lamps, and we'll put in 6 of them. And we're going to also select a box here. Under Outlet Boxes, we use the 4-inch square box with the 3/0 round plaster ring. So there's our fixture setup. We're going to say the quantity is 2 of these. And when you hit F2 Takeoff, it prompts you for labor. So we're going to put in 5 hours. And very quickly and easily that fixture is taken care of. When we print the report from the fixture module, it's going to give us a breakdown of our counts. It'll have the job name, your contact information, and your company name up here, and the fixture designations and any notes that you put in here on the fixtures. Now, one more thing from the audit trail. If everything I've taken off up to this point is typical for 3 floors or 3 buildings or 3 areas of the job, I can scroll up to the very top of the audit trail. I'm holding the Shift key down and I'm highlighting everything in the audit trail. And then at the bottom I can hit multiply by 3. It'll multiply everything that I've highlighted by 3. And it turns it blue so that we know that we did something unusual, something after the takeoff to the entries we've made so far. But that's all there is to multiplying from the audit trail, is highlight the desired items, hit multiply, and put in the factor.